This is StarTalk, and I'm your host, Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist, and this is a special place within the StarTalk universe. It's the Sportiverse. And I've got with me my co-host, Chuck Nice. Chuck.
Hey, Neil.
All right.
Hi, Neil.
And Gary O'Reilly. We have here at the Southampton Arts Center, Carlos Beltrán. Carlos.
Oh!
Good to see you, Neil.
Give it up for Carlos.
Yeah!
Oh my God. We're not worthy. We are not worthy.
Thank you for having me here, guys.
Not worthy.
We're not worthy.
Yes.
So what do you have planned for us today?
Pretty much we're going to talk about baseball through the eyes
Really?
of
Baseball?
Carlos.
Okay.
No.
I know. Spoiler.
Actually, I'm lying. We're going to talk about hockey.
Yeah.
through the
Carlos
eyes
has
of
always been a
Carlos.
big hockey fan.
Yeah.
I think really what we'll get down is to Carlos's life journey as a baseball player. On that journey, outrageous success, numbers that players can only dream of that you turned into reality. But along the way, there's an awful lot of science that we can unpack. Imagine Carlos enters Major League Baseball before Moneyball. Moneyball comes, then it goes. Carlos is still around. This guy learned to switch hit. He went out there in terms of player development and did things that other players hadn't even thought about. This is the sort of person that interests us because he is playing with science. So that's why he sat down with us, and we're going to extract an awful lot and hopefully have a great show.
Well, this is going to be a learning experience for me also, so happy to be here.
By the way, I got to say, Carlos, doesn't this guy look great? Al, retired. Look, he wears retirement well. You can look at him and tell. He's like, look how relaxed he is.
Let me tell you, I have a lot of bad examples out there. Players that retire,
Right.
they became a little heavier.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that I don't follow those footsteps.
Yeah. You're looking good, man.
he's looking
Retirement's
good.
treating you well.
So, if you look at Carlos growing up in Puerto Rico, right, his idol would have been Roberto Clemente, a man you never got the chance to meet, but a player he idolizes. And later in your career, those paths actually cross, and we'll get on to that, because I think that may have been one of the proudest moments of your life in 2013 when you get the Roberto Clemente Award. But we won't touch on that now, we'll touch on it. And plus, of course, all the data that you love and enjoy, Neil, we're going to mine that, we're going to bring it out and bring it forward. Mr. October, for numbers postseason that are frightening.
Wait, they called you Mr. October?
Well,
Mr. October,
That's
for,
Reggie.
for me, it's Reggie.
That's Reggie.
That's Reggie.
That's
Yeah,
Reggie.
yeah, that's
but
Reggie.
he was Señor Octubre. or
Yeah,
Mr. October
they
Jr.
try to call me, they're trying to put like a little Spanish
spin on it.
okay.
into that, but I will call myself Little October.
Little October.
Because Mr. October, you got to give that to Reggie
You
Jackson.
go Reggie, because you can't, Reggie's Reggie. Reggie
He is
Jackson,
Reggie.
Mr. October.
He is Reggie.
So Senor Octubre, that works too.
Sounds good.
That's, you like
Yeah,
it?
we're happy.
You're like, I'll take it. I'll take that. No.
Just to be clear, if there are any folks who are not entirely familiar with the anatomy of baseball, October begins the playoffs, and the regular season goes from April through the end of September. And it's basically right when October begins are the playoffs. And if you're going to be Mr. Senor Octubre, it means you're really kicking some baseball butt.
When it
in the
counts.
When it counts.
When it counts.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. But before we get into it, why don't we just, speaking of when it counts, look at some of Carlos's accomplishments. Like, of course, 2017, Houston Astros. You cap off your career with the World Series win, something that is like the dream crowning jewel in anybody's career after a long, storied career full of accomplishments. That had to feel pretty doggone good.
Yeah, that was an incredible moment in my career. After playing, 20 years,
20
the year
years.
that I decided to retire, thanks God, as a team, we were able to accomplish that. So it was a great moment to be able to live the game, but at the same time, great moment to be able to experience with all my teammates.
Well, it can't be that great if you're not wearing the ring.
This is more important than the World Series ring.
Oh, his wedding ring.
I got
Wedding
Oh, we're hugging.
Look at that. Oh, my God. And you know what? Your wife ain't even here. You still did that?
still did that.
She's been good to me. I'm telling you.
Let me tell you
Respect.
something.
Respect.
That's crazy good right
Very
there.
good. That's
But on
good.
top of that, check it out. One of four players to have 2,500 plus hits. I think they're around 2,700. I don't know. I don't have the exact number here. 400 plus home runs. I think it's like 430, whatever. 300 plus stolen bases. And just so that you know, the other three are A-Rod, Barry Bonds, and Say Hey Kid. Okay, Willie Mays. That's that's okay company.
That's
I
a
guess,
club.
right?
That's a company that I never thought in my wildest dream I will be able to, join them. But I have to say that all of them, were an inspiration for our younger generation. For sure.
Nice. Yeah. And
I just want to add that, again, for folks who are slightly newer to the anatomy of baseball, you don't often find the base stealing statistic with people who have the high home run statistics.
Right.
So there's certain combinations of performance in baseball that if you cross certain membranes of certain spheres of performance, then you're combining talents that you don't normally find in one package.
Absolutely. And which is why I think it's a foregone conclusion, but most people think that Carlos is definitely in the Hall of Fame without a doubt, shadow of a doubt. First ballot induction is the word on the street, the scuttlebutt. I know you're not.
I just think the fact that to be considered is an honor.
You have to say that, Carlos. Yeah. Let's be honest. Come on, seriously. Like, if I had said, pretty much everybody thinks first ballot induction, Carlos Beltran will be there, and you were just like, damn right.
Plus, if first ballot he doesn't get in, he's not saying, well, it was good to be honored in the first place. No, to be nominated. No, we're just joking with you.
Nah, it's definitely going to happen.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Right on.
Should we do a little time travel? Go back in time to when Carlos is a younger person growing up in Puerto Rico? Should we do that?
Let's do it.
All right. So there is a story that said if you couldn't get a pickup game in Manatee, your hometown, you'd get a bag of balls, a bat and a glove. You'd walk to the nearest field, which was 30 minutes away. And you'd hit every ball, go get it, throw it back at home plate, hit them all again, and do rinse, repeat until it got dark. Now, that's an urban myth, or is that a fact?
It is a fact.
Wow.
It is a fact, and it was the love for the game. Honestly, coming from super humble beginnings and understanding, where we're coming from. Baseball was in our family. My dad played baseball, my brother played baseball, not professional, but they play baseball. So I got to see them, loving the sport, growing up and being able to see that. Every time I used to come from school, I used to pick up that bat, went to the ballpark, hit the baseball, play catch 'em, by myself. And but at the same time, in my mind, I had a mission. I feel like I had a mission, and that mission was to hopefully one day become a professional ball player. One day being able to help my family. By one day being able to pay back my mom, my dad, all the sacrifices that they did for me and my brothers.
Yeah, man. And let me just tell you something. That is a tremendous amount of dedication at such a young age, like playing baseball by yourself. Because, anybody walking by that field or driving by was like, that is the loneliest kid I've ever seen.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I had few guys that, they were homeless, and every day they sit on the stands and they were thinking, oh, here comes the little crazy kid is coming again to throw those baseballs in the air and hit them.
Homeless people are looking at him like, what's wrong with this kid?
That's funny. The homeless people were like, yeah, that's the kid that plays with the imaginary baseball team.
Exactly.
Yeah, that kid is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
See,
because you got to be a little crazy in order to do those things. But at the end of the day, I felt that, in my heart, I was doing the right thing. And, God knows that I was putting every effort of every ounce that I have to try to get better.
See, you see the crazy kid.
Right.
I see the potential major league player who's building that platform brick by brick. throw by throw, hit by hit, on your own.
See, that's why
how-
both of them are professional sports players. So Gary was a professional soccer player. Carlos, of course, a Major League Baseball player. And I tell jokes.
And I did.
That's why.
I used to go out on my own and kick soccer balls. So when I read this about...
With your imaginary friend, yes.
Oh, yeah. I was better than him, though. Not much. But okay, so fast forward. You've got Major League Scouts. They come to the island and you get drafted. You're still a teenager right now at that point?
Yeah, I got drafted when I was 18 years old.
Okay,
Yeah.
Kansas City Royals come knocking. Bring you to their organization, then immediately farm you out. You go to a rookie league in the Gulf Coast, yeah.
Yeah, Gulf Coast League. I played my first year, 1995, rookie ball. Coming from Puerto Rico, not speaking the language, so it was a very challenging moment for me.
Yeah.
Being able to try to figure out what the guys were talking, or something that I did to try to kind of catch up with what the coaches were explaining. I always was the last one, just to try to make sure that I follow what they were doing, without understanding what they were saying. So it was a very challenging moment, but at the end of the day, it was something that I needed to go through in order to, these days, being able to appreciate that the struggles got me to the point where I am today.
I want to ask you because this is something that is so foreign, I think, to most people, especially to somebody like me. But, you know what this is like, too. But how does it work, and what is it like when they draft you in? Now, how does that happen? Is it like somebody saw you playing with your imaginary friends in the field and, bought you? How does that actually work? How do they approach you? How's that
Well,
go down?
I was playing Little League Baseball in Puerto Rico, and Little League Baseball have these different categories where you play. And Puerto Rico is one of those places where every scout, every organization have a scout over there looking around the island. So some of the scouts approached me and they told me, Carlos, you have a good potential one day to hopefully become a professional ball player. So at the beginning, I was like, well, sounds great. But, once I kind of start seeing the talent that I was doing when I was a player, then, I got to see that, I did have a talent based on the things that I was doing that other kids were not doing.
Cool.
So, Strange, you said you weren't able to understand fully what coaches were saying, but at the end of this rookie season, you take things into your own hands.
Yeah.
He co-ops Bernie Williams, the Yankees legend Bernie Williams, who, known, I believe, is a switch hitter.
That's
Yes,
right.
he is.
Yes, he is.
Yankees are famous historically for their switch hitters.
Yeah.
And just again, for people who might be sort of new to the anatomy of baseball, the value of a switch hitter is that if you bat right-handed against a right-handed pitcher, the ball starts coming at you before it enters the strike zone. And so the room you have to maneuver and put the bat on the ball is diminished. And generally, batters do not do as well against the same-handed pitcher as they bat. So what you do is you become a switch hitter. Just go to the other side of the plate. The pitcher's not going to switch hands, and now the ball is coming from the other side into home plate. And so you can confound what would otherwise be the advantage a pitcher has in a lineup if you're a switch hitter.
Yeah.
And so Mickey Mantle was a switch hitter, for example, one of the greatest. So you just decided you wanted to be a switch hitter?
Well, yes. I remember my first rookie year, I hit from the right side. I went to Puerto Rico, played winter ball, and Bernie Williams was playing center fielder.
He's also Puerto Rican.
Yes,
right?
he
is.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He was playing center fielder for the winter ball team, and I got to see him, and I got to ask him questions, and I got to say, Bernie, if I try, how do you think it's going to help me? So he said, Carlos, it's going to help you, and it was a lot of work, honestly. I became switch hitter in 1996. I was 19 years old. It was a decision that I made. I had good coaches, thanks God. One of the coaches is a hitting coach in the big leagues right now, Kevin Long. He's with the Nationals. So we spent a lot of hours working from the left side to try to pick up the swing, and thanks God I was able to do it, man.
Wow.
So, Neil, what's the physics of what Carlos is trying to attempt here, and what's the optimum angles, velocities, and forces that he's going to be looking
For me, what's interesting about baseball, unlike so many other sports, is almost everything is about the handedness of what's going on. Okay? There's no such thing as a left-handed third baseman because you can't position yourself to throw. So, for example, I'm at third base, and the ball comes to me, but first base is over there, so now I have to turn my body like this to throw. Whereas if I'm right-handed, it comes to my right hand. I'm already positioned to do this.
Yeah.
I would have lost a fraction of a second
Efficiency.
having to twist my body around. Little things like that operate in every part of the field. And so if you're going to now be a switch hitter where you have to have the precision of laying a bat on a ball with strength and agility, this is the other half of your body is now engaged in something it had never done before.
100%.
What did that feel like to you? Your muscles, did they have you train in certain ways to boost one half of you relative to the other?
Well, for me, it was more like trying to work on my hand and eye coordination from the left side. I know that from the right side, I could put the bat on the baseball. But from the left side, I was also being able to adapt to change of speed, because from the right side, normally you see a ball coming on the air until you know it's a curveball. But from the left side, I didn't have that, so I needed to train myself to try to get that.
Oh, so the catalog of pitches look different.
Yeah, everything
from the
looked
other
different.
side of the plate.
Everything looked different, and it was a challenge. But you know what, man? I really thank God that I was able to commit, put the work and the effort, and at the end of the day, I feel like my career turned out to be the career that I have because I was able to make that adjustment.
How many hours does it take for someone like you? Forget me. There's no hours, it's years. How many hours did it take you to learn to switch hit to a level that you were confident and comfortable with?
Well, I remember that games in the minor league used to start at 7:05, and I used to get to the ballpark around noon to hit, and we hit from noon to 3 every day until I start feeling comfortable at the plate. Because at the end of the day, if I would have not done it that way, there's no way that I was going to be able to find the swing, find the stroke, and being able to adapt and adjust to change-ups, curveball, slider. There was a lot of things that I wasn't able to feel comfortable right away, so I needed to work on them.
Just to appreciate what this required. If anyone here is sort of strongly handed, right? Are you strongly right-handed or left-handed? That's probably true for most of us. I did experiments with my left and right side of my body just to see what I was more capable of without training and what I was able to train. So one of the most difficult things I found was, I'm right-handed, was to brush my teeth with my left hand. If you're listening and watching, try this at home tonight. Use your other hand to brush your teeth. Something simple. That's not hitting a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. That's just brushing your teeth. And you find out that you just can't, it's just not there.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. There's something wrong. It's wrong.
That's why I suffer from tooth decay.
So
yes.
So I did some simple things. So I said, because I wanted to train the other side of my body, just like what you were doing. Yeah. So I said, let me try to train as I wash dishes, okay? Because dishwashing is a handed thing, right? If you're right-handed, you're
dishwashers, Neil. Dishwashers.
So, yes, you mean the machines.
Yes.
Okay, but still, there's some things you wash by hand.
Yeah,
so I tried that. And that's takes less coordination than brushing your teeth. But I did that, and I just kept doing it. And it took me about a month, and then I came to the sink, and I didn't notice that the dishes went from one hand to the other smoothly without me even thinking about it. It became, what do you call it?
Intuitive. Muscle memory.
Muscle memory got me there. Yeah. So now I'm a switch-hitting dishwasher.
That's great.
Did your left side get stronger than the right side, or were you able to keep it close?
You know what? Hitting, because I'm a right-hander thrower, and everything that I do these days, I do it from the right side. So having the right arm in front to hit from the left side, I felt like I could hit the ball a little bit stronger from the left side than from the right side. Because in the right side, I had to make sure that hand stay all the way. But from the left side, that hands get to the contact point super easy. So I feel like, okay, it's going to take time for me to get it, but once I get it, I feel in my heart that I was going to be able to hit the ball for power.
So forgive me for not knowing these numbers in advance, but many switch hitters. By the way, I think there are fewer switch hitters today than decades ago. But for any switch hitter I've ever seen, one side of the plate they have a higher average, and the other side of the plate they have more power.
Yeah.
And were you more symmetric?
I was symmetric. I was
symmetric.
Yeah,
that's hard,
symmetric.
That's hard.
Super symmetric, and but I did.
So your average was about the same.
I
and the
will
power
say
was about
I will say the average is about 280 from the right side, 280 from the left side. Wow. Numbers. I mean, I face more righties than lefties.
Right.
But when you kind of look at the numbers from the right side and look at the number from the left side, they're
pretty much the same.
Yeah,
you know what? You and I have that in common. My
No,
numbers
they
are
don't.
equally bad from the left and the right.
equally zero.
No matter what side I'm on, the number is 0.
All right, we are going to take up.
Suck. That's a is suck a number? Okay.
You happy now? You got that off your chest? Right. We are going to take a break. No wonder he's headed to the Hall of Fame. When we come back, we will be touching on your experiences of Moneyball because you're starting to find your groove just around the time Billy Beane is revolutionizing the Oakland A's.
Reminding people Moneyball is a book, became a movie, and it's the analysis of baseball in another dimension that confounding how people ever did it before.
What is it you say? I love me some data.
I love me some data, and we will get right to that when the second segment of StarTalk Sportiverse continues. We're back, StarTalk Sports Edition. We are visiting the Sportiverse, and I have help. I have help from Chuck Nice, Gary O'Reilly.
Yes.
And Gary, we've got Carlos Beltrán here.
I know.
A retired professional baseball player. You were a retired footballer.
Yeah.
Or a soccer player, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, soccer player from the UK.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, all right.
Right, let's sort of fast forward just a little bit. 98, you get called up to the big leagues with the Royals. Yeah. 1999, no surprises really. He's Rookie of the Year in the American League. You are kicking it down the road at 306 batting average?
306.
306. 24 home runs, that's 2001. Then you go 307 with 26 home runs in 2003. You are crushing it. But at this moment, the game around you is changing. As we said before the break, Moneyball arrives. Billy Beane is changing the landscape of baseball. How does that, A, affect you, and how does it, B, affect the organizations around Major League Baseball?
You know what? By that time, not too many organizations were doing what the Oakland A's were doing. So it was new for baseball. Honestly, as a player, I never thought about it. I focused and try to do my routine, get to the ballpark, do the things that are working for me. So I didn't really put attention to it until basically my second phase of my career. After 10 years in the big league, I got to see firsthand that like more teams being able to involve and try to think about how they can get better using analytics and all that type of information. So I felt personally that I was able to last 20 years in the big leagues because I was able to update myself to the time that I was living. So I never closed the doors on new information that was going to help me to get better.
So because of the way Moneyball, Sabermetrics, call it what you wish, looked at each individual player, did that change the way that you looked at you?
Well, I always was open to try to make adjustments and to try to get better. I always feel that as a player, I wanted to get better. I wanted to continue to prove myself. Not because what I did in the past means that it's going to continue to be like that. So
Yeah, but what Moneyball did, it changed what people understood that you had to do to be better. So can I just give, for those who didn't read the book or see the movie, let me just give one example, which is something I don't think people really thought about before. Let's say, let's say you bat 200. That's not a very good player, okay? But if every time you get at bat, it takes 14 pitches to get you out.
Right.
Then you just wore out the pitcher. You have value
You now
to
have
the
a different
team.
value to the team.
Because if there's a pitcher who's really shutting down your team, you can knock the pitcher out innings earlier by having someone like that on the team. And I think before Moneyball, nobody was thinking that way.
right, and the way the tendency of a hitter being able to hit the ball to the pull side 70% of the time, then 30% to the opposite side. So that's when you start seeing the shift on the infielder.
So they did the shifting in the defense.
Exactly.
After Moneyball.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, there's no doubt that there is a lot of valuable information. Now that I'm working, for the Yankees and I get to spend time.
So you are
I'm an advisor for the New York
advisor.
Yankees.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Very
so
nice.
I get to see
You
firsthand.
just stand there and go, hit it.
Well, plus, that's
That's
gotta
my
look
job
good on-
done.
That's got to look good on a business card. Not only am I Carlos Beltrán, I advise the Yankees. Right.
So no, but you know what? Now that I get to spend time in the front office, I get to see the hard work that those people are, putting to try to come out with statistics that help the organization and the manager make better decisions on how to defend somebody or how to pitch somebody. So it's very good, very good.
It's funny when you say you're an advisor for the Yankees, and I just found this out, that when you were being considered to manage the Yankees, I thought that was something you wanted to do, but then I found out that Cashman called you.
Yeah.
It wasn't your idea, which is what most people would say, like, I think I'd like to manage. He actually called you and said, hey, Carlos, what do you think about how that goes?
Cashman is the general manager.
General manager of the Yankees.
Yeah,
That's incredible, man.
that's the year that I retired from the game of baseball. So all of a sudden I just decided to retire. And a few months after, Cashman called me and said, Carlos, we want to interview you for the job. And I'm like, I told my wife, I'm looking forward to travel, to enjoy time with the kids. So now the Yankees are calling me to manage. So honestly, I felt that it wasn't important, for me to take that interview and it's not any team, it's the Yankees. So I felt that it would have been an incredible story, but at the end of the day, it didn't happen. So, but I took the year off. I traveled with the family. Now I'm missing the game. So second time around, Cashman called me again and said, hey, man, you want to do something for our team? I said, yeah, I would love to do something that doesn't really take a lot of time out of my family. So we end up agreeing on being an advisor and have the flexibility that I have today.
You still have interest in coaching, though? I mean, in managing?
You know what? Honestly, now that I get to see what managers go through, the responsibility, the commitment, it requires crazy time. So
Plus, you got to know how to argue with the umpire.
yeah,
So,
but
Have you been
honestly,
kicking dirt?
I love to do what I do now. I think now I get the opportunity to talk to the players, talk to the organization, give them what I think about players, share my my experience with the guys that are going through certain situations. So I really enjoy what I'm doing. Plus, it doesn't require a lot of time.
See, what I'm hearing here is what we used to refer to, I think, back in the early 80s called the brain drain, right? If you walk away from baseball and you go on a world cruise, you go to all of your bucket list spots, your game intelligence, your experience walks away and the game is less. So what Cashman has done, to my mind, is gone, I can't let that walk away. I got to keep this in the game. Because how many players do you know have had stellar careers, numbers that are superb, and they go, I'm done, thank you, and go.
You got that right. And also, if you go away for too long from the game, when you try to come back, you're not going to be updated to the time, in the game. So a lot of guys that went away from the game and now they're trying to get jobs. It's hard, because they have this mentality where, oh, no, my mentality is I was an old school player. I did it this way. I did it my way. And that's the way it should be done. Man, my friend, you got no room in baseball. In baseball, the guys that have room are the guys that are willing to adapt to what is new information, and being able to see it. At the same time, I got my arguments with guys that they all they think is about analytics. I said, man, you know what? I understand that and I appreciate that, and that's valuable information. But at the same time, as a player, you've never been in my shoes. You don't know how to feel mentally, physically, the things that you got to go through in order to overcome a slump. So there's a lot of things that analytics cannot quantify.
Right.
So they can't qualify the spirit of the game.
The heart of the player.
I know that
Spirit of
that
the game,
works.
the heart of the player.
Right.
That should be on a poster.
It's going to be on a T-shirt by the time we leave here. There'll be a guy outside with T-shirts with that exactly on it.
But I want to get back to Moneyball for a minute.
Yeah, please do.
Moneyball is not just what you do to play a better game. Somebody is analyzing you, the batter, so that you become a lesser batter when they face you. Exactly. So it's like, a predator-prey contest that's constantly back and
it's
not
a
predator prey.
dance.
What's the term for this? 30 years ago was anti-tank warfare. It's just you do something, then the next one
an
does
arms
something.
race, yeah.
No, arms race. Thank you.
Arms race, yeah.
So it's an arms race. So all of a sudden they figure out Beltran, he can't hit the low outside fastball. So then they start giving that to you,
right.
and then you see that. You got to adjust.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so if you can't adjust,
Then you're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah, you're dead.
They
You know?
figured you out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the game of baseball. The game of baseball was a game of adjustments, Every day for me was different. I couldn't say to myself, okay, what I did yesterday, I'm going to do today. No, maybe I will do the same thought process. I will have the same preparation. But at the time to face that pitcher, you have to understand that you're not going to see the same pitches that you saw the night before. So you have to be able to make your adjustment during that bat.
Nor the same pitch that you hit out of the ballpark the previous time you were at bat.
Exactly.
So, but it also, too, I think people forget the fact that with player development now and Moneyball, the money part, it's the organization saying, if we're able to get these particular players in this particular alchemy, we don't have to spend as much money
Oh, that's right.
in order to get the same results, right?
That's why I decided to retire.
Dude, that is awesome.
I took advantage of the game, but you know what? Honestly, no, I don't want to put it that way. I just want to say
just
that
did.
organizations these days are more prepared based
Right.
on
Yeah.
info, data,
Right.
things that they didn't have back in the days. For example, back in the days, if an owner wanted to win, he was gonna pay that player whatever
it took.
to get him, because he felt that guy was gonna help that team. Now these days, data could tell you a lot about the player and about the projection of the player. So now organizations are more cautious and more careful about, okay, we have a budget, so we want to make sure that we stay around that budget. And and they're gonna move the pieces to try to put the team together. Like for example, the Yankees is a team that they look at that, but they also want to put a good product for the city. So every single year, because they have a lot of pride, the organization have a lot of pride. They want to win. So that's
The pride of the Yankees,
story.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to that point, an interesting element that I think is underappreciated, if there's an expensive player that you could get, you say, instead, I want to get these two players at half price of that expensive player. Can I now put them together? Like, I love the word you use, alchemy. What is the alchemy of that to try to put out a winning team? So now, here's my question. First I want to make a statement, and then I have a question for you.
All right.
The statement is, you come from the world of soccer. There are 11 players on a team at a time. Baseball has 9. Basketball has 5. There's an analysis that shows that a lot of money for a single player matters much more to basketball than it does to soccer,
Yes.
and in between for baseball. Because in soccer, that person is 1/11th of the bodies on the field.
Correct.
Right.
Baseball, you're 1/9 of the bodies on the field. Basketball, you're 1/5. So LeBron James's value in basketball, he's 20% of what's out there. So and plus he's there in every play.
Right.
You
Just
don't
about.
you don't come to bat all the time.
Even though
As
they
good
wish
as your
you
bat
did.
is, I see you 4
times.
maybe
4 times.
5.
Yeah, maybe
Right.
5.
So this is an interesting fact about how you value somebody relative to everything else that's going on the field.
Yeah.
And that's where the sabermetrics came in. It took the same thing, just changed the angle at which it looked at it and came up with a different result.
Plus, you a Golden Glove.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I was fortunate.
Yeah, I was Golden
Oh, well,
Glove.
now you mentioned
Yeah,
you mentioned the
Yeah,
GG, right?
Golden Glove.
This gentleman wins his first Golden Glove, right? 2 mistakes. That's all he makes
For the season.
for the season.
2 errors.
2. There's a swear word in there somewhere. But that's ridiculous.
That's pretty.
That's what I meant to say. That's ridiculous. What kind of mental power do you have going on in there to concentrate game in, game out on your field? Because we know you're good with a bat.
Yeah.
Now we know you're something else in the field.
Yeah, I mean, I always have a lot of pride when I play the game. And for me, it was, if I'm not doing my job offensively, I have to make sure that I help the team defensively. So when as a player, you're able to let go one thing and focus on the other thing, because baseball, you use a lot of times when you see guys making mistakes defensively is because they carrying the result of the bat to the defense. So now they're thinking about the process.
The at-bats on the loop
Exactly.
in their mind,
so now
and they can't shed it.
The ball comes to you, catch on you, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not prepared.
That
So
sounds
that's
terrible.
Where the mistake comes.
Oh, it's like you're living. It's like you're living a nightmare. You're living your own mistake while you're actually still playing the game.
Yeah, in situ.
I was bite by that a lot of times, believe me or not.
How long did it take you to shake it off? Because it's very rare a rookie or a younger, less experienced player can shake that bad moment off. How long did it take you?
Well, you know what? I always was pretty good letting things go. There's no doubt that in baseball, you need to have a short memory. So you don't have to let things go.
Interesting wisdom there. That's wisdom.
So So you don't remember your mistakes. You just keep moving.
I try to remember them,
Right.
but I try not to spend energy on them.
Right. See, I would have been a great baseball player. I don't remember any of my mistakes. I just keep it moving.
I want to put a thread through this.
All right.
Bernie Williams
Yes.
played center field.
Mm-hmm.
And you played center field.
Yeah.
Okay? You both good base stealers.
Yes.
And if I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, the center fielder is generally the faster of the three outfielders because they have more area to cover.
You got to cover a lot of ground. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question. I've tried to calculate this, and I've not gotten an answer to it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you know it intuitively, even that I couldn't get to mathematically.
Good person to ask.
Okay? If you are a fast center fielder, do you make fewer or more spectacular catches?
Fewer.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, because
you're getting to the ball.
You get
quicker.
to the ball, you stand there, and the ball comes.
Yeah.
It's a slow outfield that make all the
he's
shoots.
diving.
Diving. Those are the slow ass players, but they get on the sports channel.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of my argues when I was with the Royals. I used to get to the ball. I never made fancy places when I was my first.
Because he's waiting for the ball.
So I'm always getting to the baseball, standing up. I'm not diving for the baseball. And when you look in Sports Center and now you see all these diving catch, and I'm thinking, wow, man, you know what I need to do in order to win a Gold Glove?
Yeah.
Like what I need? Do I have to fake it?
Right.
In order to win a Gold Glove?
Right.
But thanks God I never did that. But what I'm saying is like when you're a faster outfielder, there's fewer
occasions to make a
fancy places you're gonna
See,
make.
that would have been cool, though, just to see a highlight where somebody smacks one deep center, and then you're like, hold on, I got to take this. And then you, like, take a phone call. Then you go catch the ball. Then go catch the ball. That you would have made it. You made a highlight.
Yeah, that'd be a highlight reel.
That'd be a highlight.
100%.
You'd have been hated throughout the leagues if you'd have. Don't listen to him. He's a bad influence. All right, we aren't going to just hold that.
We got to take our next break.
We are going to take a break.
And when we come back, what do you have up next in the third?
Oh, we're going to talk about vision training in baseball because Carlos said, I always kept an open mind to change things. That's easy to say. He actually went about doing it. And there is a way to train your vision. We have peripheral vision and we have a thing called foveal vision that comes straight out of the pupil. It's sharper and it's faster. Kind of thing as a hitter you need. That's what we're going to deal with when he likes
Wow.
Yeah, you
Whoa.
see.
So this is like bionic man stuff, right?
Maybe.
All
So
right.
we're going to take that break.
And can you
Carlos
when
and how to
StarTalk
be
returns.
a better hitter on the way back.
When StarTalk returns, we're going to learn about how to alter your body physiologically to do better at the sport of your choice. We're back on StarTalk. I'm your host, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and we're coming to you from the Southampton Arts Center. Well, yes. Woo! We'll get to it in a moment, but later this evening, there's a fundraising event in the service of those who are still in need from Hurricane Maria,
Maria.
in the island of Puerto Rico, which, last I checked, is part of the United States.
Indeed it is.
So, Chuck and Gary, this is the sport edition of StarTalk, and you're going to take us forward.
We are, as promised just before the break, there's something called vision training in baseball where you take the foveal vision that comes out of the center of the eye, the pupil. So there's a guy called Dr. Bill Harrison who Chuck
we
and
had
I
him
have
on the
had
show.
on the show.
He
Yeah.
pass away.
So I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But as a hitter, if you can see clearer the pitch that's coming at you, you're taking it. How did you come about finding the good Dr. Bill Harrison, and how did he teach you, and what did you find useful?
Well, you know what? Everything started for me when I got to hear the Edgar Martinez, who just went into the Hall of Fame a few days ago. He was doing this hand and eye coordination drills, and he used to have like a tennis ball machine flipping baseball at him at like a 120 mile per hour with dots, with numbers, red colors, black colors.
Just to be clear, no one has ever thrown a ball 120 miles an hour. So you're training at a higher speed.
So he's training at a higher speed, try to pick up a color, try to pick up the number on the baseball. So I asked him, I say, you know, what do you do this for? He said, well, you know, a lot of people train their bodies, and when we're hitting, our eyes are the most important thing, because if we don't see the baseball, we're not going to be able to hit the baseball. So since that day, I really was able to make that adjustment and say, you know what, I have to find a way to train on that, so hopefully I can get better at the plate. And I got to meet Bill in Anaheim, and he gave me some drills and exercise that I still carry with me, and hopefully one day I could pass that on to my kids. And I was able to do those drills, and honestly, I got to the point where I was able to narrow my vision better toward the pitcher and toward the baseball. You're able to slow the game down.
That's it.
Yeah,
So it
you're
slows
able
down.
to slow the game down. You're able to see the ball better. You're able to see more details on the baseball than when you are in a position where, you know, anxiously you're there, but you're just trying to make contact. When you feel in that groove, you feel like you're seeing the ball good. You see the ball coming out of the hands. You see rotation. You see you're capable of let things go or being able to attack the baseball. So I'm talking like if you have a lot of time. You know, I know you don't have a lot of time when you're hitting.
Split second.
It's a split second, but that's the feeling. You know,
it's
when
4/10
everything's
of a
going
second
well.
or something.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So first of all, it seems to me that yes, the easy way to say it is that you're training your vision, but I think what you're really doing is training your mind,
Your brain.
Yeah.
your brain,
Training your
brain to process information differently,
100%.
and find the information that matters in that moment. Because you know we evolved on the Serengeti where everything matters in front of you because something might kill you.
Yeah.
So you got to really. That's why we have good peripheral vision. The last thing a batter needs is peripheral vision.
Yep.
Right. But we can see. You can see more than 180 degrees.
Yeah.
In baseball, when you're at bat, you don't need that. So
No.
the brain has to now figure out how to ignore that. This is what's going on.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, and so fascinating that you put markings on the ball because actual baseball has stitches, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to look at.
Right. And you say, we've heard many
Yeah,
pitchers
we have,
tell
yeah.
us this. You know, as a matter of fact, Ron Darling told us the same thing about the batters like you, the guys who could see the rotation of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And so in that split second, like 4/10 of a second, you're processing rotation and actually figuring a pitch for swinging in that little bit of time? Or is it just a reaction that's the way the process happens?
Well, at least in my case, it was different. Why? Because if I was going to face Ron Darling that night, I needed to make sure that I watched films of Ron Darling. I watched a lot of films of him to see what the ball is going to do before I get there. So I do a lot of visualization. Okay. So by me watching the film, now I'm visualizing where the ball is going to end up. And if I can see something on the glove, meaning tipping, they call it tipping, where you could see the ball moving, the glove moving, and now you know that he's going to throw fastball when the glove moves certain way, and you're going and if the glove open, then you're going to know off speed is coming. So now you make your own study before you get there. So when you get there, for me, that doesn't guarantee me success, but it guarantees me that I'm going to feel very comfortable in that at bat.
You're playing.
So that
go ahead.
any little advantage is going to help the batter.
Any little
Because
advantage.
if you kind of know it's a fastball coming, then
I'm going to get you.
Bring it on.
Honestly, that's the
you
mentality.
got it. So just let me state the obvious. Since you don't know what ball is coming, if a pitcher doesn't reveal it by these
No tipping.
if you don't know, some percent of that 0.4 of a second is kind of wasted figuring out what kind of pitch it is, and then you got to figure out how am I going to hit this pitch. But that extra fraction of a second with prior knowledge, you're all on it.
No, 100%.
And the announcers will say this. He was looking for that curveball the whole way.
Right.
He was looking for that fastball the whole way.
And a lot of time you're not looking, you just know that it's coming.
That's Zen. He's getting Zen now.
No, honestly, a lot of time because
becomes one with the
if I know that he's doing something with his glove and I know it's coming, I'm not looking for that pitch. I know it's coming, so all I gotta do is just make sure that it's in the strike zone. Make sure that I put a good swing on it.
What, to my mind, what Carlos is doing is taking away the element of gamble. There's more advantage to me because I'm reading the tail on the glove. There might be a hand movement that you've noticed as the pitch is coming through, and then you're locked on to the rotation on the ball. Yeah. And what doesn't seem to be, because you always say about if you hit in 300, you're doing really great.
Yeah, it's the fun you read about baseball where you say, okay, you can get into the Baseball Hall of Fame by failing 70% of the time.
I failed 72.
72%. So you batted 298.
So when those odds are that stacked against you, if you can now bring that towards you, that makes it. I was reading an interview.
Well, I didn't calculate that right. You go
280.
280, fine. That's right, not 298. It's 280.
There, the Astros pitching coach said you were talking when you won the World Series in 2017. You were talking to some of the relief pitchers, and he got a little bit upset because they were listening to you more than they were him. But you were calling pitch after pitch after pitch. Now you're either psychic or you. What are you looking? How do you do that?
All my career, all I did was study pitchers. I study a lot of pitchers. When I first got to the big leagues, was putting the cassette into the PSA.
Yeah.
And
What's a cassette?
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
No, but that's how it was when I first
How
got to the
old
big
are you?
leagues. And then later on, technology came, and now it's like all these fancy computers.
Yeah,
and, you could do it frame by frame, beautiful. I mean, I really enjoy doing that study. But what I'm saying is that as a player, I spend hours, looking
Just
at
looking
films.
at VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I got to interject here. All right. As an academic, I will say that the mantra, well, how do I get to Carnegie Hall or whatever? Practice. No, excuse me. We just added something to this. Yeah. It's practice. Study.
Study.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Because
100%.
it's too easy for us watching the game. Oh, they're a natural. Or he just. No, you're behind the tapes.
There's a lot of work.
I was, and by talking a little bit about 2017, I remember when I got there, I'm 4 years old. All my teammates are 21, 22, 23, very young.
You're the old man.
So yeah, I'm the old man there, putting hours on the watching films, and the younger guys are coming to me and they're asking me, Carlos, what are you doing? I say, I'm studying this guy. So week after, now you see 7 or 8 shares of the younger guys
sitting there studying with you,
looking. How I can take advantage. Before it was like, Carlos, when you finish, please, can you pass the information to me? I say, I would do it, but I would prefer you to spend time doing it because if I'm not here,
don't
next
cheat
year,
off of my paper.
No, because next year I won't be here. Yeah. So I want you to create the habit that this is important and it's going to benefit you in your career.
So you're in this fabulous role as an advisor in the front office of the Yankees organization, but you also have another side to your post-career, which is a place dear to your heart, is Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. You have a baseball academy, the Carlos Beltrán Baseball Academy. Are you teaching science and technology and all of those things, not just baseball?
Believe it or not, our school is a high school that we specialize in baseball. I talk about the high school with a lot of pride because I felt that as a player, I really used the talent that God gave me to hopefully do something to impact future generations. So we impact a lot of kids in our country. We help them. We give them a lot of information. With that school, the way that I did it was like all the things that I was able to live that there were challenges.
Yeah.
I try to make sure that they go through that, they experience that, because I want them to be prepared, more prepared than I was when I was a professional ball player. So it's a full bilingual school. We try to teach them, the language. So when they go to colleges or sign up professional ball players, they're more prepared. I have a lot of friends in baseball that, they're being willing to share all the kind of information about technology, about all the data, about the players. So we try to teach the kids that baseball is going into it's a different generation of baseball. It's not what it was back in the days.
It's always evolving.
Yeah, so it's evolving. So we want our kids to evolve with the game and to make sure that when time comes for them, they're ready and they're prepared and they're able to make good decisions.
And in addition to the school, you're also doing stuff for the island of Puerto Rico with your foundation. I know you guys are still building homes, right?
Yes, we are. We are right now. We're in the process of building 7 new homes for 7 families that, believe it or not, there's still people struggling in the island. Seems like Puerto Rico is back in their feet, and in some areas they are, but there's a lot of areas that are in need. And our foundation, we try to be active. We try to see the situation and act on it. That's why we do events like the one we're going to be having here tonight, because I believe that it's good to pass the message that it's important. We're all capable of doing something for somebody that is in need. So that's one of the reasons why we're here today.
Right, before we let you go, Carlos, do you have a question to throw in that direction to Neil?
Yeah, because what we try to do is,
Yeah.
there aren't many astrophysicists in the world. There's about maybe 10, last I checked, somewhere between 7 and 10,000 astrophysicists, about 7 billion people. So 1 in a million people walking this earth is an astrophysicist. So if you're ever sitting next to one, that's just a good time to ask whatever question you might have been harboring on the universe.
Well, you know what? Honestly, I just want to ask a question, but I don't want to ask a question for myself. I want to ask a question for the new generation of ball players these days that are playing the game. Like, understanding the technology that is happening in baseball, how do you think should be the approach and the adjustments that those players need to do in order to change their career for the best?
I think there's a generation of people who are growing up only ever knowing the role of technology in their lives. And that generation, I think, will be much more responsive and much more accepting of advice that could come informed by technology. So I don't know that you have to make special arrangements for them to be influenced in that way. Provided this starts, if that technology works its way down into high school, then it's a very natural thing. Exactly. They come to the pros, there's just more expensive versions of the equipment they were using in high school. I don't see that as a problem going forward, and I think it should be fully embraced. And I don't see it as any more fundamental kind of a difference than when people decided, if we stretch and lift weights, we can get stronger and faster and become better baseball players. Really? Oh, this is in the 50s and 60s.
Really, Babe Ruth?
Okay.
Will you knock it off?
Wait. But if you were around back then, are you saying, no, that gives you an unfair advantage? The sport you shouldn't lift weights before you do this. That's not right. You'll get big muscles, and that's not natural. No one is saying that today because that's just something you can do. It's something that can enhance performance. It's something that people will pay to sit in the seat to watch. And at the end of the day, it's entertainment for an audience by television at the ballpark. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think it'll be smoothly embraced, and a new era of baseball will come up. And Chuck's version 40 years from now will be, they'll be talking to some superstar in 40 years and say, they're going to say, back in 2000, Carlos Beltrán, any of us could beat him back then. because
I love Carlos. Did you see Carlos's face? This is a true competitor. He actually just went like this. I don't know about that.
No, but we don't know what we don't know. No, if there's some new thing, they throw 110 miles an hour. Yeah. There could be something that could happen. Right. And they'll look back at this generation and say, y'all were just some slobs. That could happen. And I like thinking about the future in this context.
Do you know what's beginning to happen?
What?
The athletes themselves are actively seeking to use the technology. Whereas before, they
had to be forced on
in
them.
the clubhouse, they had to push it in the direction of the athletes.
Yeah.
Now the athletes are saying, no. Can I get this and this and this? Because I need to know about what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And that is beginning. It's where the geeks and the jocks are colliding.
Oh, nice.
It's this nice thing in the clubhouse.
It's a nice collision.
It is a positive collision.
Where they both win.
Yeah, because any other collision, we know who wins.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. When geeks and jocks collide, one of them is laying on the ground.
It doesn't look good for the geeks.
I am so sorry.
All right, so Carlos, you asked me some questions, a couple, but I want to ask you a couple of questions. Ready? Yeah. Okay. I
hope I can answer.
Yeah, you'll have an opinion. All right. Okay. You ready? I think if you get hit by a pitch on ball 4, you should get to go to second base.
I don't think so.
No, if ball 4, you take first base. You get hit by a pitch, you get first base. You get hit by a pitch on ball 4, you go to second base.
Because of what you're saying?
Yes.
I think that it should be the way it is. Go to first. I think first is okay.
Okay, there you go.
Right,
That's one of your questions.
I mean, this is a man that stole bases.
It's a free base that you're
going to give him a base.
No, I want 2 bases. See, if you hit me and it's ball 4, which it clearly is, unless I stepped in the thing, then I want to take 2 bases. Well, anyway, okay. When can we rename the foul pole the fair pole?
Exactly, I don't understand that.
Oh, good. We got okay. Because if it hits the foul pole, it's a fair ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should change that.
Exactly, we should change that for sure.
All right.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
Very nice.
I like that one.
I like that a lot.
That's a good one.
Okay. All right. Now I got another
fair pole.
I got another one. You ready?
Yeah.
If you walk on 6 pitches, it's a walk. But if you walk on 10 pitches, it's a hit. Because it meant you had a good enough eye to waste
to battle the
pitcher. It's to battle the pitcher, and you earned the base. It's not that because it doesn't show up in your average.
You know what? I love anything that reward the hitter. I was a hitter, so
anything
that rewards me as a hitter, I will both.
You'll take it. He's going for it.
I'll take it.
Because it meant you have a good eye, and you're waiting for the good pitch, and they couldn't keep you down.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that.
All right. Excellent. And I just got to put this out there.
Okay.
People don't talk about it.
All right.
A 95-mile-an-hour pitch has twice the kinetic energy of a 70-mile-an-hour pitch.
I wonder why people don't talk about that. That's so weird that people aren't discussing this. No. I mean, I see people at the ballpark all the time just like, did you know that a 95-mile-an-hour pitch has twice the kinetic energy of a 70-mile-an-hour pitch?
You don't say.
I do say, sir.
I say twice.
Indeed,
twice the kinetic energy.
Why is no one else talking about this?
They're buffoons.
Here's why. No, but just a couple of things regarding that, right? It means if you're a 95-mile-an-hour pitcher, every time you throw the ball, it's taking you twice as much energy than it is a pitcher throwing 70 miles an hour. So pitchers who throw 70 miles an hour will have longer careers. That's all I'm saying.
Not really, because if they're throwing 70 miles an hour... I don't think
if you throw 70, you will pitch at the big leagues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, you throw 70
How far are you hitting a
70
mile an hour?
The only way you have to be like a knuckleballer type of pitcher.
Okay.
You're going to send him to sleep with a 70 mile an hour ball.
He's waiting for the ball.
I can make a comeback on a 70 mile per hour pitcher.
So we could bring this to a close. Carlos, it's been a delight to have you on our StarTalk Sports Edition. You give us hope not only for people with ambition and hope for what we can do with our resources to help others, others in need, others who are not in need but could make a better life for them later. The whole gamut. You're there and you're in the middle of that, and it's hard to say enough nice things about your career and what has become of it since then. And I'm jealous that you're like you're advising the Yankees, because I want to advise the Yankees, but I don't have any talent to do so.
I think you do have a lot of talent, a lot of knowledge. I think the Yankees are into that direction when they want to understand more
So
about.
it might
the
be something I
technology.
could contribute. I'll
Yes.
see you in the back office one day.
I would love to see you at the ballpark.
Excellent. All right, guys. Chuck Nice,
All right.
Gary O'Reilly.
To everybody here in our audience, Carlos Beltrán, simply the best of.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We're going to be signing off from the Southampton Arts Center. And I've been your host, Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist. This has been StarTalk Sports Edition. And as always, I bid you to keep looking up.